many British companies have been blindsided by surprise US import tariffs introduced somewhat by stealth by the White House. UK firms are now grappling to understand the implications of the Trump administration's 400 new categories that technically contain steel or aluminium. The list includes washing machines, garden furniture with metal frames, fire extinguishers, tableware, as well as condensed milk, shampoo or perfumes that come in aluminium packaging. Lucy Monks is the International Director at the Federation of Small Businesses. Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning.
So then, this does feel somewhat sudden, potentially sweeping. What's triggered these stealth tariffs?
Well, I think we all know that the White House has been very focused on in its perspective, protecting its own industry. I mean, there have been some supportive comments from the US steel manufacturers for these moves, but in the long term, we are concerned that these tariffs are going to essentially be placed on the tariffs are placed on the consumer at the end of the day. So there is a significant risk that this is just going to mean price rises again for the businesses and the end consumers of products that are created in the UK.
And these are particularly difficult for companies to wrestle with because this is about whether there is a percentage of metal content in goods. Is that right? Is that your understanding of how this actually works?
Yes. So it is incredibly difficult to figure out exactly how the tariffs may apply. And there will be, so in the UK, a lot of the export goods are manufactured products, so products that essentially have been manufactured. So working out when you've got components maybe from different places as well, whether which tariffs should apply because of the origin of the different components, and then how much of those components are made up of what, so which tariffs will apply in those situations can be incredibly tricky. Very, very tricky.
In terms of how companies are affected, the Sunday Times notes that Triumph motorcycles, JCB are going to be, quite badly affected. Indeed, JCB faced tariffs on as much as £2 billion worth of exports. This could be quite damaging, actually, to operations of big companies, but also to smaller companies who will have to contend with working all of this out and, in fact, paying the tariffs, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So when after the original Liberation Day, when announced the first round of tariffs, we polled our members, and about 20% of those who are selling into the US said that they were going to stop or consider stopping selling because, frankly, when you come up with a barrier that means that it is very, very difficult to work out exactly how you have to apply trade rules, it becomes far too difficult, especially for those that are, selling maybe lower value goods or that don't exclusively, sell into the US as part of their business model, maybe do so more passively, that it just isn't worth the hassle and they stop that behavior because it's just easier and more cost effective to them essentially than trying to continue. So there is a risk that we're going to see, another bump to export activity, especially for those SMEs that sell into the US.
And in some ways that was Trump's intention, wasn't it? To manufacture more in the US, to depend on imports less for the US. So it could have the effect he wants, even if it feels detrimental to companies in the UK.
It might do. It's quite complicated because I note that some of those larger businesses or large international businesses have said that they would set up more factories or invest more in the US. But, realistically on the ground, there's also been site closures and manufacturing plant closures. So the tariffs are complicated, are going to affect different businesses in different ways. And, I think it will remain to be seen whether this is going to be an effective policy to keep and grow manufacturing in the US.
Yeah, and just finally, Lucy, this sort of breakthrough, as it was described, UK-US trade deal, which we were talking about in May, and actually probably using the word deal is perhaps a little generous, but sort of agreement in principle, I suppose, that had apparently cut tariffs on UK steel and aluminium exports to zero, but the kind of implementation of all of this remains stalled, the process remains protracted. There are questions about sort of the actual source of UK steel, whether it's melted and poured in the UK. It's uncertainty personified, isn't it?
The uncertainty is a huge issue. Yeah. So we knew when the deal was announced that there was a lot within it that needed to continue discussion. I think that the fact that there was a deal is positive, and that there is good relationships between the White House and Downing Street are very clear. So there is a good basis to be built on, but yeah, the continued time that it's taking to get these discussions basically finalized. And also, I mean, for us as a Federation of Small Businesses, how small businesses on both sides of the Atlantic are actually going to benefit from this deal remains unclear. So we very much look forward to seeing how discussions progress.
Lucy, thanks very much. Lucy Monks from the Federation of Small Businesses there. I know lots of you run your own businesses and may have interest in US markets as well.